Lex talionis. Eye for an eye.
We're going back out.
Fuck
Okay.
yeah.
Fuck yes.
Let's go.
Don.
This scene in Clint Eastwood's American Sniper depicts our main character in a small convoy of military vehicles taking revenge on the injury of one of their friends. It's overindulgent in its brutality. So begins the pervading dissonance that underlies the entirety of American Sniper, that between how it both wants to be an action film, a political statement, and a character study. Yet its heavy-handed and one-sided approach to all three result in one of the most grossly jingoistic films in recent memory, with no sense of self-awareness and a startling ignorance to the complexity of that which it depicts: war. If you enjoyed or even loved American Sniper, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm not out to try and change your opinion or your personal enjoyment of the film, but merely to shed some light on why I felt the opposite. You can probably tell that I'm not American. Perhaps that's why I felt such a strong aversion in the film, a lack of any real connection to the patriotism that the film tries to evoke. Yet as I watch and rewatch the film over and over, each time attempting to be more objective than the last, American Sniper doesn't seem to care that it is thinly veiled propaganda. Rather, it revels in it. American Sniper glorifies war whilst simultaneously attempting to condemn it. We, as an audience, love action. War infers action, and action films bring in the highest amount of gross profit across all other cinematic genres. Recently, the new Star Wars film was the fastest film ever to reach $1 billion at the box office, and before that, Jurassic World held the record. Both are based on previously established franchises, but they are franchises that are rooted firmly in the action sequences that are performed within their sci-fi premises. Action makes us excited. It's like when you're trundling up the steep hill of the roller coaster and you rest at the very top and wait for the inevitable drop. We feel adrenaline, we feel fear, but most importantly, the audience feels something. Making the audience feel a tangible emotion is becoming harder and harder as years go on. We are becoming desensitized to the violence which we consume. Not necessarily a bad thing, but one that is worth noting. The Austrian director Michael Haneke played on this concept in his film Funny Games. In it, Haneke, through the use of two seemingly omniscient killers, criticises the violence which audiences will pay to see. These two killers speak to the camera, and by extension us. They know, just as well as us, the audience, that the captive family won't get out of the scenario alive. He told the producer of the film that if the film was a success, it would be because the audience had misunderstood the meaning behind it. Haneke used the violence of Funny Games to dismantle why an audience enjoys watching that kind of film. The violence, in essence, has a point. Which brings me back to the scene I highlighted at the beginning. When you look at this scene in context of the entire film, it makes little sense. In those 40 seconds we hear thumping warlike drums, a call to action. Our heroes are gallant, riding on their machine gun laden steeds. They stumble across four insurgents who they proceed to mercilessly gun down. The Humvee bounces off the walls, relaying the anger that our characters feel. And then it ends. What then is the point of it? In the filmmaking process, every scene, line, word, syllable is scrutinised to the finest detail. This scene was written into the script, and it was decided that it should make it in the final film. In my eyes, this is for one very simple reason. Cheap, cathartic release. The insurgents are a generic enemy, and we should feel good about our hero who's gunning them down because he's a bad guy, right? It's too easy to make an enemy of those who are different, isn't it? The context in which a film is made is incredibly important. American Sniper is a direct result of post-9/11 America, one which is doused in intense paranoia and an ever-mounting xenophobia. During the Cold War, Russians were the go-to enemy in film. During World War II, the Nazis. It's not a new trend, but it's one that time will soon make redundant. This scene contributes nothing to the film. Its sole purpose is to appease a collective patriotism that it tries to appeal to. American soldiers are on the moral high ground, so when one of the American soldiers gets shot, we feel sad. but once they gunned down 4 more with little or no reaction to it, we should feel good. Things went bang, and that's all that matters. You might be wondering why I got so hung up on this one largely irrelevant scene. It isn't anything new, and worse and less sensitive action movies will continue to make scenes just like it. But for me, it sums up everything wrong with American Sniper, as well as the dangers that extreme patriotism can have on art, specifically cinematic. The violence in American Sniper is justified by the patriotism by which it is exacted. I want to end with a question. Why are we so proud of our country even though we have no control over it? What benefits does being proud of your country actually have in the grand scheme of things? Why, as human beings, must we make arbitrary divisions between us when we all, in the end, are the same? There's nothing inherently wrong with patriotism, but just like every other volatile substance, when abused it can turn deadly. And it's even worse when it's used as a justification for even more heinous deeds altogether.